The silence of the dead star system shattered like glass. Alarms blared through the iron vow as Elias scanned the approaching fleet. Dozens of enemy ships, sleek and deadly, moved in perfect formation, cutting through the black void with precision. These were not pirates. They were mercenaries hired by the Zayari Council, elite killers sent to capture or destroy Saralith and anyone who helped her. Saralith's eyes hardened. They are faster than I expected. They will try to force us into the open. We cannot let them reach the weapon before us. Elias's hands moved with practiced ease on the controls, plotting evasive maneuvers and potential attack vectors. He had faced overwhelming odds before, but this time the stakes were higher. This was not about survival or medals. It was about a weapon capable of ending worlds. Get ready, Elias said quietly. We either fight smart, or we die trying. Saralith nodded, standing behind him, her gaze fixed on the enemy fleet. The weapon will assist us, but only if we stay alive long enough to guide it. Do not underestimate them. They will not hold back. The first attack came like lightning. Energy beams tore through the void, striking asteroids and the outer hull of the Iron Vow. Elias twisted the controls, narrowly dodging a direct hit. The ship shuddered violently, warning lights flashing as the shields absorbed the impact. Saralith activated the station's interface from her portable device. The weapon, sensing his presence, responded. Pulses of energy shot toward the enemy ships, destroying the lead vessel in a bright flash. Others scattered, but not enough. They regrouped quickly, surrounding the Iron Vow. Elias, the weapon will not last long if we let them swarm us. Saralith shouted over the alarms. I know, Elias replied, diving the ship between floating debris. We need to separate them. Draw them into the traps the station built. The station's corridors and outer platforms had hidden defense systems, long abandoned but still functional. Elias maneuvered the Iron Vow through narrow tunnels, dodging enemy fire and leading pursuers into automated turrets and energy traps. The weapon responded to him, pulsing with every movement, its beams tearing through the enemy fleet. Saralith watched with awe and tension. You control it instinctively. It has never responded to anyone like this before. You were made for this, human. Elias ignored her praise, focusing on survival. Every moment mattered. One wrong turn could destroy them all. He moved like a shadow, weaving the Iron Vow through deadly channels, drawing the attackers into the station's defenses. Several enemy ships were obliterated by the weapon, their hulls vaporized in blinding flashes of light, but more kept coming, relentless and precise. Elias's body ached with tension, every nerve alert. Then came the betrayal. On his sensors, a new signal appeared. One of the fleet ships split from the rest and began broadcasting a message. Elias froze. Saralith noticed immediately. They've hacked into the communication network, she said sharply. They're trying to reach you, the message was clear. Surrender the queen, human. Hand her over and your life will be spared. Resist and all will die. Elias clenched his jaw. They don't know me, he muttered. They think fear can control humans. It won't. Saralith placed a steady hand on his shoulder. They underestimate you. That is our advantage. But they are clever, be careful. This is not only a fight of weapons. It is a fight of minds and trust. The battle escalated. The enemy fleet tried to flank them, forcing Elias to make split-second decisions. He piloted the Iron Vow through the station's defensive maze, dodging attacks and using the weapon's energy pulses to blast enemy ships into debris. Saralith remained calm, guiding him through complex sequences of the weapon's interface. Focus on the rhythm, she said. It will respond to your instincts. Trust yourself. Elias felt a strange connection to the weapon. It pulsed with his movements, as if reading his intentions. He realized that in this moment he and the weapon were one force, human skill amplified by alien power. Almost. Got it, he muttered, dodging another volley. He flipped the ship sharply, forcing enemy vessels into an automated trap. Explosions lit the dark void. Saralith watched, her heart pounding. She had fought beside many humans in her past, but none like Elias. His focus, courage, and quick thinking were extraordinary, even by her standards. One of the enemy ships broke free from the traps and launched a missile directly at the Iron Vow. Elias's eyes widened. Hold on! He activated the last of the station's energy defenses, a concentrated beam that struck the missile mid-flight, vaporizing it. The explosion shook the ship violently and alarms screamed. Saralith gripped the console. You are extraordinary. I underestimated your strength, human. Elias didn't respond. He focused on the remaining ships, weaving, dodging, and striking with precision. The enemy fleet began to falter. The weapon pulsed in response to him, attacking with accuracy far beyond any known technology. And then, in a sudden realization, Elias noticed it. One of the remaining ships was piloted not by mercenaries but by a traitor he had known from the fleet long ago. Someone who had turned against him for money and power. Sarilith. One of them is someone I know, he said quietly, teeth clenched. He's a traitor. He's trying to make me surrender you. Her eyes narrowed. Then he underestimates the human spirit. Let us show him. The final push was tense. Elias used every maneuver, every instinct, every piece of knowledge he had from years in the fleet. The weapon pulsed, sending beams that destroyed enemy ships with deadly precision. The traitor's ship tried to flee, but Elias intercepted it, using the station's gravity traps to hold it in place. Sarilith joined him at the controls of the weapon interface, guiding the final energy pulses. The traitor's ship shuddered, then exploded in a blinding flash, leaving only silence behind. Elias leaned back, breathing heavily, sweat on his forehead. The remaining enemy ships retreated, broken and scattered. The storm of battle had ended, for now. Sarilith turned to him, eyes wide with awe. You did it. You controlled the weapon, saved us, and defeated them all. I cannot believe it. Elias shook his head, exhausted but alive. I just did what needed to be done. It's over. For now. She stepped closer, placing a hand on his arm. You are more than a pilot, Elias. You are extraordinary. Without you, we would have failed. The galaxy owes you more than it knows. Elias felt a warmth in her words, but he shook his head. I don't do this for praise. I do it because it has to be done. That's what humans do. We fight when others falter. We survive when hope seems lost. And today, we survived. Outside the station, the dead suns of Kalira shone faintly in the void, casting long shadows across the asteroid fields. The weapon pulsed quietly, dormant again but alive, recognizing the human who had guided it. For Elias and Sarilith, the battle was won. But the war, the journey, and the secrets of the weapon were far from over. The exiled queen had found an ally in a human pilot, and the galaxy had yet to see the full measure of their power. And somewhere deep in the void, the remnants of the traitor's fleet carried word of what had. The battle in the Kalira system was over, but the air inside the Iron Vow was heavy with tension. The dead suns cast faint light through the ship's windows, and the vast emptiness of space reminded Elias of how small they were against the galaxy. Yet for the first time in years he felt alive, not just as a pilot but as someone who could shape the fate of worlds. Sarilith stood across from him, her silver hair catching the dim light. She looked both weary and victorious. The exiled queen had survived her enemies, her fleet crushed, her power temporarily safe, but the cost of this victory weighed heavily on her. You did it, she said softly, her eyes searching his. Without you, none of this would have been possible. You faced them, controlled the weapon, and survived. I cannot thank you enough. Elias shrugged, though he felt the weight of her words. I didn't do it for thanks. I did it because it had to be done. That's what humans do. We fight when no one else can. We survive when hope seems lost. And today, we survived. Sarilith's gaze softened, a flicker of something deeper shining through. It is more than survival, Elias. You have proven your strength, your courage, and your mind. More than that, you have shown loyalty. Even when others betrayed me, you stood beside me. That is rare, even among humans. He felt a strange warmth at her words. He had fought battles, led squads, faced impossible odds, but no one had ever looked at him like she did. No one had ever placed such trust in him. For a long moment, neither spoke. Outside, the stars shone quietly over the barren system, and the hum of the Iron Vow filled the silence. Then Sarilith stepped closer, lowering her voice. Elias, I need to ask you something. He looked up, wary. What is it? She paused, searching for the right words. I have survived betrayal, exile, and enemies who would kill without thought. And now, I offer you an invitation, a chance not only to help me reclaim what was taken, but to stand beside me as my partner in purpose and in choice. The galaxy may never see this coming, but together we could change everything. Elias blinked, uncertain. He had been trained for combat, strategy, survival. But this was different. This was about trust, loyalty, and a choice that could reshape not just his life, but the fate of the galaxy itself. You want me to join you? Not as a soldier, but as a partner? He asked slowly, careful with his words. Sarilith nodded. Happened. A warning that humans, even a single one, could change the stars of the Kalira system were cold and dead. Twin suns had burned out centuries ago, leaving the planets and asteroids in shadow. Silence stretched across the void, broken only by the low hum of the Iron Vow's engines. Elias sat in the pilot's chair, hands steady on the controls, eyes scanning the sensors. Every movement, every calculation mattered. One wrong jump could send them crashing into an asteroid or drifting into the gravity of a dead world. Sarilith hovered beside him, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim cabin light. The Queen's attention was fixed on the holographic star map projected in the center of the cockpit. Every flicker of light, every hidden pathway she seemed to memorize instinctively. This is it, she said softly, pointing to a faint cluster of floating rocks and derelict stations. The weapon is hidden somewhere in this system. Long ago it was placed here by a species no one remembers. They left it behind waiting for someone capable of finding it and using it wisely. Elias frowned. So, we're supposed to find a dead alien weapon in a dead system. Sounds simple enough. Sarilith's eyes flickered with a hint of amusement. You underestimate the dangers. This place is not only uncharted, it is protected. Automated defenses, traps, ancient sentries still guard the weapon. And my enemies, they know the general area. If they discover it before we do— Her voice trailed off. Elias understood. Failure here would mean more than death. It would mean domination, slavery, perhaps the end of worlds. His fingers tightened on the controls. We'll find it, he said, though even he was not entirely sure. The Iron Vow glided through the empty space, weaving between crumbling stations and shattered asteroids. Sensors detected unusual energy spikes, faint traces that suggested the weapon's presence but nothing precise. Elias relied on instinct, the same that had kept him alive in countless battles. Sarilith's knowledge complemented his skill. She directed him toward ancient waypoints, predicting energy signatures, warning him of potential traps. Despite the calm in her voice, he could see the tension in her posture. She had not traveled here in centuries, yet she remembered every detail as if it were yesterday. Hours passed in silence, broken only by the occasional warning beep or her soft directions. The Iron Vow moved deeper into the system, following the faint trail of an energy signature no one else had detected. Finally, they came upon a station larger than any Elias had seen before. Its structure was massive, angular, and almost organic in appearance, with metal that shimmered faintly even in the cold light of dead stars. This is it, Sarilith whispered. The weapon of silent suns. Elias stared at it, awe and caution mixing in equal measure. It looked dormant, yet it radiated power, as if the station itself were alive. Dormant or not, it's bigger than anything I've ever faced, he muttered. They approached cautiously. The docking bay was enormous, yet completely abandoned. As they entered, the interior hummed softly, a low vibration that resonated in their bones. Strange symbols adorned the walls, symbols older than the Zayari Dominion, older than any record Elias had ever studied. Sarilith walked forward, her hands hovering above the panels. It responds, but not to me. Her voice trembled slightly. It is waiting for something, or someone else. Elias looked at her. Not to you? She shook her head. No. It was designed long before humans existed. Somehow, and it recognizes your kind. I do not know why, but it seems made for you. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. Made for me? I'm just a human pilot. And yet the weapon responds, Sarilith said. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Perhaps your species is destined to carry the galaxy's hope, whether you know it or not. Elias swallowed hard. This was no longer just a mission to stop her enemies. This was something bigger, older, more dangerous than anything he could imagine. The station's interior was a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, each pulsing faintly with energy. Elias led the way, scanning for traps. Sarilith's alien senses detected hidden mechanisms, doors that opened only with the correct sequence, and panels that reacted to their presence. Finally, they reached a massive chamber at the station's core. At its center hovered the weapon, a sleek metallic structure suspended in a sphere of faint light. It was quiet, silent, yet the energy radiating from it made their skin tingle. Elias stepped closer, eyes wide. The sensors on his suit went wild, reading energy levels far beyond anything he had encountered. "It's alive," Saralith breathed. "Not like you or me. But it has awareness, and it is waiting." Elias extended a hand, cautious yet compelled. As his fingers hovered near the weapon, it pulsed, a faint blue light wrapping around his hand as if recognizing him. He stepped back, startled. "It responds. To you," Saralith said again, voice full of awe. "Your species. They designed it long ago. For humans. I don't understand why, but this is no accident." Elias felt a mix of fear and responsibility. He had faced enemies, storms, and war, but never had a moment carried such weight. A single wrong move could awaken the weapon in ways they could not control. Suddenly, the station shuddered. Sensors blinked wildly. Outside, the Iron Vow's warning alarms went off. A fleet of enemy ships had entered the system. Mercenaries and traitors from the Xiari Council had tracked them here. Saralith's eyes narrowed. "They came faster than I anticipated. We do not have much time," Elias nodded. "Then we move fast. Get me a plan and I'll make it happen." Together they worked quickly. Elias piloted the Iron Vow, weaving through the station's defenses while Saralith guided him to the weapon's interface. Panels lit up in response to Elias's presence, forming patterns and sequences he instinctively understood. The weapon seemed to communicate with him, revealing fragments of knowledge. "This is incredible," Saralith said. "It recognizes your mind, your instincts. You can control it, or at least guide it." Elias felt a strange connection. This was no ordinary machine. It was a force older than empires, and it had chosen him. Outside, the enemy fleet closed in. The station's defenses activated automatically, shooting beams of energy at incoming ships. Elias watched in awe as the ancient weapon's automated systems destroyed several enemy vessels with precision and speed. Saralith turned to him. "It is helping us, but we must be careful. If we misuse it, the consequences are unimaginable." Elias nodded, determination hardening in his chest. "Then we do it right. We stop my enemies and we protect the galaxy." Together, human and exiled queen, they prepared to face the approaching fleet, relying on skill, trust, and an ancient power older than any living being. The weapon of the Silent Suns waited, its choice made, and the galaxy was about to witness a power it had never imagined, guided by a human pilot who had once been forgotten. Commander Elias Ward had always thought the galaxy had left him behind. Once he had been a decorated pilot of Earth's fleet, guiding warships through burning skies and asteroid belts. He had known the fire of combat, the rush of survival, and the loyalty of his fellow pilots, but all that had ended years ago. Now Elias lived on the quiet frontier colony of Darren IV, far from the noise of fleets and councils. His house stood at the edge of a small settlement, its roof half rusted, its walls beaten by the endless desert winds. Most days he flew supply runs for miners scattered across the barren land. At night he sat by his old wooden table, drank tea, and watched the stars. He liked to believe he was forgotten. He liked to believe he had chosen peace. But on one stormy night, peace came to an end. The storm outside raged harder than usual. Darren IV's twin moons were hidden by rolling clouds, and the winds carried dust that rattled against Elias's windows. He sat inside, polishing the last of his old pilot medals when he heard it. 3 sharp knocks against his door. Elias frowned. He wasn't expecting visitors. Nobody visited him at night. The colony slept early, and his house was too far from the main road for travelers. The knocking came again. Slow, measured, almost desperate. He rose, reached for the old plasma pistol on the wall, and approached the door. His instincts whispered danger, but curiosity burned hotter. Carefully, he slid the door open. Standing outside was a figure cloaked in shadows. The storm tugged at the traveler's hood, revealing a glimpse of silver skin, glowing eyes, and a regal yet tired face. "Commander Elias Ward?" the figure asked, her voice soft but firm, almost musical. Elias stiffened. Few outside the colony even remembered his rank, and fewer still would travel through a storm just to say it. His eyes narrowed. "Who's asking?" The figure lowered her hood and his breath caught. It was an alien. Not one of the traders who passed through Darren IV, nor one of the rough mercenaries he had sometimes ferried across sectors. No, this was different. Her features were noble, her posture proud though weariness weighed on her shoulders. "I am Saralith," she whispered. Once queen of the Zayari Dominion, now exiled. Elias almost laughed. The Zayari Dominion was one of the largest alien powers in the known galaxy, rich in fleets and worlds. Their queen appearing on his doorstep seemed absurd. Yet the look in her eyes was real, sharp, desperate, carrying a burden heavier than a crown. "You must be lost," Elias said flatly. "Queens don't knock on doors. Especially not mine." Saralith shook her head. "I am not lost. I came here because there is no one else left to trust. And because you, Commander, are not like the others." Elias tightened his grip on the pistol. He didn't like riddles. "If you're truly who you claim, then why here? Why me?" The queen stepped closer, lowering her voice as if the storm itself might be listening. "Because I carry a secret, a dangerous one. And if it falls into the wrong hands, countless worlds will burn." Elias stared at her. He had seen liars before, smugglers with smooth tongues, mercenaries with half-truths. But this alien queen wasn't lying. Her fear was too sharp, her resolve too steady. Still, he wasn't ready to trust. "If you want to play politics, you've chosen the wrong human. I'm retired." Her gaze did not waver. "No, Commander. You are exactly the human I need." The words unsettled him. He hadn't been called Commander in years, and hearing it from an exiled queen sent old instincts crawling up his spine. Elias stepped aside slowly. "Fine. Come in before the storm tears you apart. But I warn you, one wrong move and you'll regret it." Saralith gave a tired nod and stepped inside. The inside of Elias's home was plain. Metal walls patched with wood, shelves lined with star maps, and a single chair across from his. Saralith looked around with quiet curiosity, then pulled off her cloak. Her silver hair was tangled, her robes torn from travel. She looked nothing like a queen now, just a survivor running from shadows. Elias poured tea into a second cup and placed it before her. She accepted it with surprising grace. For a moment, neither spoke. The storm howled outside, shaking the roof, filling the silence between them. Finally, Elias leaned forward. "Start talking. Why come to me?" Saralith lifted her eyes. "Because my enemies hunt me across the stars. Because they betrayed me, stripped me of my throne, and now seek something far greater, something buried in the dark between galaxies. A weapon not of my people, not of yours, but of an age long forgotten." Elias frowned. "A weapon?" She nodded slowly. "A super weapon. One capable of enslaving entire systems. I alone know its location, and I cannot allow it to fall into their hands." Her voice trembled slightly, but her gaze burned with determination. "And where do I fit into this?" Elias asked. "You will take me there," she whispered. "You will help me stop them." Elias leaned back, stunned. He had sworn never to return to wars or weapons. He had sworn to live quietly far from fleets and fire. And yet here she was, an exiled alien queen asking him to fly into danger. He wanted to refuse. He wanted to send her back into the storm. But something in her eyes stopped him. It wasn't just desperation. It was trust. Saralith's voice softened. "You may think you are forgotten, Commander. But I have studied your kind. I know humans fight when others run. I know you do not bow easily. That is why I came to you." Her words stirred something Elias had buried long ago. Memories of comrades, of battles fought against impossible odds, of the stubborn fire that had carried humanity through every war. The storm outside roared louder, as if echoing his inner conflict. Finally, Elias spoke. "You're asking me to risk everything, to step back into a fight that isn't mine?" "Yes," Saralith said simply, "because if you do not, then it will become everyone's fight, and by then it will be too late." Elias sat quietly, staring into his cup of tea, the steam rising in thin, twisting shapes. Outside, the storm had slowed, leaving only the occasional gust rattling the old walls. Inside, the tension was thick. Saralith, the exiled queen, sat across from him, her posture still regal despite exhaustion. "You must understand," she began, her voice low and deliberate. "My situation is more dangerous than you know. I have enemies inside and outside my own people. Those I trusted betrayed me, and now they seek something only I can stop." Elias raised an eyebrow. "Enemies inside your own people? Sounds like family problems." She smiled faintly, though there was no humor in her eyes. "Not family. Leadership. The council of my dominion, the Zayari, the ones who were supposed to guide and protect our worlds. They turned against me. They overthrew my throne while I slept, leaving me without allies, without protection. Elias leaned back, crossing his arms. And you expect me, a retired human pilot in the middle of nowhere, to help a queen get her throne back? She shook her head slowly. No, I do not ask you to help me reclaim a throne. I ask for something far more urgent. There is a weapon, hidden in the uncharted sectors of this galaxy. My enemies intend to find it, awaken it, and use it to enslave every world they can touch. Elias frowned. A weapon? What kind of weapon? The kind that ends civilizations, she said, her gaze unwavering. It was created long ago by a species long extinct. Its power is beyond imagination. It does not belong to my people, nor to yours, but to the galaxy itself. If it falls into the wrong hands, nothing will survive. Elias ran a hand through his hair. His quiet life had been safe, dull, and predictable. Now it felt like someone had thrown him into the middle of a storm twice as violent as any Darren 4 gust. Why come to me? He asked again. Why not go to your allies? Saralith's eyes darkened. Because I have no allies. Every fleet that once served the Zayari Council has turned against me. The few friends I had are either dead or hiding. You, humans, are unpredictable. You are not bound by old politics. And I believe you have the courage to do what must be done. Elias swallowed hard. Humans had been underestimated for centuries by alien civilizations. He knew it. He had seen it in the fleets he commanded, in the battles he survived. Maybe she was right. Maybe humans could make a difference where others failed. And what makes you think I will just jump into your galactic problem? He asked, trying to sound indifferent, though his mind raced. Because this weapon will not wait, Saralith said sharply. Every moment I delay, my enemies move closer. You will either act with me, or countless lives will be lost. The choice is yours, Commander. Her words were simple, but the weight behind them was heavy. Elias realized this was no game of politics or revenge. This was about survival, and perhaps the survival of the galaxy itself. The room fell silent for a long moment. Outside, the storm had ceased entirely, leaving only the quiet hum of wind over the desert. Saralith's silver hair glimmered faintly under the dim light, and her eyes, deep and glowing, seemed to pierce through the walls into his very thoughts. You are thinking it's impossible, she said softly, breaking the silence. You think a human cannot stop a weapon that even my people fear. But I have studied you. I have watched humans, your history, your wars. You survive where others fail. You fight even when the odds are against you. That is why I came to you. Not by chance, not by mistake, by choice. Elias felt a strange mixture of pride and unease. He had always known humans were underestimated, but hearing it from an alien queen, someone who had seen the galaxy's greatest powers, made him reconsider. Let's assume I believe you, he said finally. This weapon, where is it? How do you expect a human pilot and a